Hello gamers, looking back at it now, recent years doesn't feel like a banner for strategy games, but that doesn't mean there haven't been a few gems. If you've been thinking about getting into strategy games after, say, building a new gaming PC, figuring out where to start can be a bit overwhelming. You've come to the right place. It's worth noting these aren't ranked in any particular order. From real-time classics to modern turn-based favorites, these are the best strategy games on PC. Number 15. BattleTech. If you enjoy turn-based strategy to any degree, this is a must-have for your Steam library. The base game is worth full price because you get access to the core mechanics as well as the incredibly deep mods available on Nexus, Rogue Tech. I thoroughly enjoyed the DLC too and did get my money's worth out of them all, but I do recommend rather getting those on sale. Complex and challenging strategy game. Not easy to pick up and play, but rewards careful planning and tactical flexibility. Expect to restart missions until you understand how to play well. The story is interesting despite the fact I have no background in the MechWarrior universe. Number 14. Endless Legend. Very fun 4X game which features some of the best diversity in factions I've ever seen in the genre. The different playable races all feel very different in their playstyles, and the way they interact with each other and the planet is great. I'm sad I played this game long after its initial release and missed out on playing with others, as I bet the multiplayer is fun, but even singleplayer alone is a good time and makes Endless Legend worth picking up on sale. Great game, loads of fun, but wished the AI was less dumb. Number 13. Age of Wonders Planetfall. There are a lot of options in this turn-based 4X space. Lighter than many on the strategy space but better than all, it's competition in the tactical battle. Definitely made a niche play and I think it works. I was struck with that one more turn bug even after over 100 hours in the game. If you like 4X and you like tactical battles, this is an easy yes. If you play well, you can play it as a 4X without the deep tactical battle and resolve your way through most of it, so it is viable in that sense as well. It allows flexible playstyles. You can rush early or go for a tech win. You can win as a team or go solo. Number 12. Desperados 3. I played this game plus DLCs 3 times in a row and then repeated some of the missions again to do the badge challenges, so it's safe to say, I think it's pretty great. Both this and Shadow Tactics can be overwhelming at first due to the sheer amount of times you fail, but the more you play them, the easier it gets, so they are great for people who like to play the same game for a while. I ultimately completed the entire game on the hardest setting. For people who play games once and then move on, I guess they will be terrible unless you are a good gamer in general. Overall, this game is really great. Good art style, unique gameplay, fun characters. The game also has tremendous replay value. Number 11. Rise of Nations Extended Edition. A childhood game favorite. This game blasts me back to nostalgia when life was simple in the early 2000s. Growing up with a Windows XP, this was one of the few games that could run smoothly on my prehistoric computer. I have played countless hours on Rise of Nations. Whether you enjoy building a nation on commerce or defeating your enemies by conquest, there are multiple ways to pave your way to victory. So, Age of Empires got 2 sequels and 1 upcoming. How about some love for Rise of Nations? I believe the whole Rise of Nation community would agree with me that a sequel for this game should be made. Number 10. Ashes of the Singularity Escalation. Was pleasantly surprised to find a fun, fully voice-acted campaign with interesting and diverse levels. If you're seeing a lot of people comparing it to the Supreme Commander series and saying that this is a bad copy, ignore those statements unless you're also a Supcom fanatic and think it's the holy grail of RTS that does everything right. The devs have done a good job with the 3.0 update and the support for the game plus DLCs. The new update has changed everything, including all the campaigns. That's quite a bit of time and dedication on the part of the devs, and I can respect that. It's a great game with lots of replayability. Number 9. Northgard. Northgard is a very enjoyable RTS game that does not try to be too much at the same time. The game does not field huge armies, but as a lover of huge armies, I can say that this does not matter much in Northgard. It feels hard to field bigger armies and justifying growing them larger when you are new to the game. The resource management is fun and challenging, and growing your population is fun until you realize you are about to run out of food. The only thing I don't like about the game is the DLC policy. Well, they don't price the DLC too high, but there is a pay-to-win element in some of the DLC clans. I would guess playing competitive multiplayer requires you to buy at least a few of these. All in all, this is a great game, and I recommend getting it on a sale. Number 8. Sid Meier's Civilization VI. This is a game I can play in different styles. I can just chill and gradually feel my empire grow, or I can be competitive. A great collection of civilizations and their unique bonuses, different map types, different game modes, all that can be randomized or configured to my own taste, which adds nuance to every match and feel less repetitive. It does have a hard learning curve though, and be forewarned that it is too addicting and time-consuming. But that's what good games are. I haven't tried online play yet, but it's great to know that there is multiplayer option. Number 7. Company of Heroes 2. By order of Comrade Stalin, I recommend this game to every strategy games lover. This is a really great game to play when it actually runs. Although I recommend it, be prepared for continual frustration with crashes, bug splits, net desync, disconnections in general, and other rubbish. If you love leaderboards, it is by far the most unstable strategy game I've ever played. The most recent 64-bit patch seemed to make it even worse. In addition, half the player base is utterly toxic. Expect massive verbal abuse thrown at you regularly, with no ability to mute or block players. Doesn't bother me too much, as I grew up playing Counter-Strike. If you're not used to it, it'll be jarring. When the game does work though, it's a blast. The question is just whether all the nonsense is worth it. For me, personally, it is. Number 6. Europa Universalis 4. Paradox Development Studio is back with the 4th installment of the award-winning Europa Universalis series. The empire-building game Europa Universalis 4 gives you control of a nation to guide through the years in order to create a dominant global empire. Rule your nation through the centuries with unparalleled freedom, depth and historical accuracy. True exploration, trade, warfare and diplomacy will be brought to life in this epic title, rife with rich strategic and tactical depth. If you are going to buy this game, be wary with DLC and know that to get the full experience you need most of them. One of the best strategic games, but latest patches and updates sucks. Number 5. Hearts of Iron 4. Hearts of Iron 4 is a game that is its most satisfying when the player takes time to learn all the mechanics and systems. If you play this game with only a knowledge of land combat and a basic knowledge of air combat, then this game will not be fun. But if you learn the naval side of it, if you learn how all the national focuses mesh and affect your nation, then the game comes together into an incredibly fun and addictive experience. Once you do learn, I recommend playing with historical AI turned off. This means that the AI won't write a stick to the history books, communist Russia, fascist Germany, etc. This will allow for some pretty crazy scenarios to occur, such as communist USA, democratic Germany, or even an alliance between fascist Germany and France. This makes for a unique playthrough every time. Hearts of Iron 4 is full of depth and complexity, but if you take the time to learn it, it's one of the most addicting grand strategy games out there. Number 4. Total War 3 Kingdoms. The best Total War and strategy game I have ever played. It goes in depth to the story of romance of the Three Kingdoms and even goes to add minute details from the novel to the game. The unit diversity seriously is amazing, and it's really fun to see and test out the different units. I love how it has a records mode and romance mode. For people looking for a more realistic approach, definitely go for records mode. However, if you're looking for a more fantasy-like campaign, like Warhammer 2, go for romance, as the generals are more buff and the overall campaign looks better. In summary, definitely get this game if you're looking for a strategy game that gives you an in-depth campaign and diverse mechanics and battles. Number 3. Shadow Tactics: Blades of the Shogun. To finish the story in total it takes about 20 to 30 hours, which depending on what price you grab the game is really good or mediocre. The story is nice, has a few perhaps predictable plot twists to keep it interesting, however the real fun in my eyes begins after you've beaten the game. If you opt to go for collecting all the badges on each mission, meaning replayability is pretty high, but it has an ultimate end. Every level has a new mechanic introduced or something special about it, which makes the gameplay pretty dynamic, doesn't let you settle in a singular strategy, and keeps you on your toes. Fantastic real-time tactics game with a great story, likable characters, and solid gameplay. Number 2. Crusader Kings 3. The best grand strategy game out there right now. None better. It has a lot of systems that can overwhelm you at first, but give it time, and you will get the hang of it. I recommend starting out as a vassal, ruling over a county to get the hang of all the stuff. You can get claims on other vassals' land and war with them to expand your territory within the kingdom. Eventually you can either try to take over the king's territory and rule the kingdom, or you can declare independence and create your own country separate from the king. It's a natural evolution to and a significant enhancement of Crusader Kings 2 in pretty much every way. If anyone needed proof that Paradox can still make great games out of the gate, this is it. Number 1. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. This is the true RTS. Every other real-time tactics and strategy game you have ever played was perfected in Age of Empires 2. It is no exaggeration to say that this is the greatest game of the genre ever made. Every trope, every gameplay mechanism, every concept of every game came from or was developed to an ideal state in this one game. This is the mother RTS from which all real-time tactics and strategy games grew from. It wasn't, perhaps, the first, but it was the best. It has never been surpassed, even by other games in the same series, by the same creators. Age of Empires 2 is as close to a perfected RTS as it is likely possible to get. Do not be turned away because of its age, recognize that it is still lauded because it was always the best. And now, the graphical and auditory upgrade brings it up to modern standards. If you want to call yourself a gamer, you have to have played Age of Empires 2. It's that simple. That's all for today. Thanks for watching the video. And if you find the video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.